Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program is designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have not only exceeded capping status, but have also reached exceptional milestones, earning them various stock grants and the opportunity to earn back their paid company dollar. Today on the panel, we have from Massachusetts, Arjun Kunwar. From Minnesota, we have Kelly DeMaye. From California, we have Andy Kay. From Arizona, we have Andrea Crouch. And our moderator today from Wisconsin is Josh Newman. Josh, the stage is all yours.
Sounds great. Great to be here with you guys. Fired up. Anytime you come to attend these, or if you're watching later online, you are spending valuable time to be with us and to educate yourself. And so the hope today is to deliver you some value and that you can pull some things out that'll help you, not just in business, but in life. And it's always important to look for small nuggets of wisdom that can make an impact, right? Sometimes we look for these huge boulders of like, what is wrong or what will get me over that next, to that next level of a success or satisfy whatever big problem that you're facing. But lots of times, small hinges swing big doors. So little changes can have a profound impact on your business. We got some really wise people that are willing to give their time today to share some secrets of success. And so that is our goal, to deliver that to you today. So let's do a quick introduction of all the people that are on our ICON panel today. And let's start with Andrea. Andrea, just share with us where you're from, how long you've been in business, how long you've been with EXP, and if you run a team or just what your business looks like a little bit.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning. I am currently in Phoenix, Arizona. I have been here since 1979, but originally from Michigan, so your neighbor, and have been in real estate for 19 years. I work with my husband, Brian, and we have a small team, and joined EXP in 2019. So that's where we are.
Awesome. That's great. I'm heading to Scottsdale with my wife for a little getaway from the cold here in Wisconsin on next week. So I'll be in your neighborhood.
Good. We should connect.
Yeah, for sure. Andy, why don't we move over to you if you want to share a little bit?
Sure. I have been in real estate since 1986. So that's a few years now. I've done most everything I think you can do in real estate. I've worked for franchise companies. I've owned my own company. Had 17 agents at one point. I've done development deals, but the last 20 years or so of my career, I kind of made the switch to specialize in multifamily, and I kind of, my handle, so to speak, is Apartment Andy. I sell apartments and focus on multifamily sales. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Lots of experience to draw from in lots of areas. So that's great. Kelly, let's head over to you.
Good morning. I am Kelly DeMaye, even though Brian said DeMaye. I like that. It's a lot more exotic, but it's DeMaye. And I am out of the southeastern part of Minnesota. I have been in the industry for about 28 years. So I had about 9 of those as a mortgage lender, and the rest I have been a licensed real estate agent or broker. So been in there a long time. I have been with EXP for 3 years, starting my 4th, and I have iconed 3 of those years as well. So hopefully we'll get our 4th on the books as well. So glad to be here.
That's awesome. We're practically neighbors, Kelly. I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin, so I bet you we're really close to each other.
Actually, Josh, I'm from Milwaukee, so I'm a Scotty girl.
Well, shoot, I grew up in Milwaukee too. So that is funny.
We'll have to connect as well.
For sure. We won't bore everybody else with our side relationship here. So,
right.
Arjun, are you on? Is your microphone working yet? All right, Brian, if he's able to connect, why don't you just hit me in the chat and we'll make sure that we include him in on our questions. Awesome. Well, I'm Josh Newman. I'll host us today. I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin, small town along the Mississippi River. Our whole county is about 120,000. So I guess it's relative to some people that might be a big area. Others, it's small. I've been here and in real estate for 22 years. Started off with a mom and pop franchise, independent brokerage. Actually, they weren't mom and pop. They were the biggest in the area at the time. Then I moved over to a big national franchise, great brand, was there for a handful of years, then moved over and started my own independent company, One Trust Real Estate. Started that in 2012 and then came over to EXP in 2020 and run a team. I've had as many as 27 agents. Right now we're at 11 agents, 12 agents, and kind of in the zone. Got a great group of people, kind of prefer to have a smaller team and do about 80% residential, 20% commercial, some multifamily stuff. My wife and I have a property management company and own a bunch of rentals, or not a bunch, but a decent number of doors ourselves, and into my first residential development right now. And so kind of similar to Andy, kind of put my fingers in a lot of different areas of real estate. So Arjun, is your mic working now? Not yet. All right. Well, let's get into it. And, today we're kind of focusing on, lots of times it's the X's and O's. Real estate really is a simple business. I always tell people, you got to have hustle. You got to have a CEO mindset. You got to wake up and motivate yourself. Different teams have different structures, and sometimes there's more coaching, hand-holding. But if you're an indie agent or you're running a team or you want to just be a big producer, you got to wake up. And nobody's, putting you to work. You're not getting paid by the hour. All the things that attract us to real estate. I always tell people being your own boss is the best part of real estate. That's also the hardest part about real estate, is being your own boss. And so a lot of what contributes to success, and especially the success of like our icons have here, where they have consistent years of proving that they can be successful. Anybody can kind of, come in and blow up and do really well, but to consistently do it, that's what these icons have proven over time. And so we're going to focus today on mindset, on work ethic, habits, and just kind of, maybe breakthroughs. Because if you're in this business long enough, I always get, the market has been so strong for the last 5, 6, 7 years. In some markets now we're seeing that soften a little bit. But anybody that's been in real estate not too long, like Andy has maybe not seen a challenging market. And so, how do you break through when things feel stale or slow or not as easy as they were? I want to cover some of those topics today. So hopefully this will be not as much X's and O's and strategies, although definitely we're into sharing any of those, but just mindset from a mindset standpoint, things that are working for you. So Arjun, I see you're on the stage. Is your mic working? Okay. All right. First question. Let's head this over to Kelly. Let's start with you. And, lots of times people take shortcuts and depend on, gimmicky things or different ways to kind of, circumvent what has been proven over time, maybe. And that's sometimes can, leave us short. Sometimes it can work, like I said, but tell me maybe some things you've done in your business that seemed like you were taking a long way to get to the results, but what have you learned from just your experience and being patient with your growth or your strategies? Any wisdom you can have with, the basics or whatever, however you want to put that.
Yeah, I probably don't have a real exciting story, but it's a crucial one. When I first started in real estate as an agent, I was coming from the mortgage industry. And so, I had a lot of contacts, but not necessarily buyers and sellers, right? It was a lot of real estate contacts and whatnot. So what I would say is a typical shortcut for a lot of people is they may have the contacts in their phone, or maybe they have, Outlook or something like that they host the people they know. What I would recommend and what I was able to do when I first started was to actually get an official CRM, system. And there's many great ones out there. So, whether you use KV Core or whatever, just get that system, put everybody that you know in it, get as much information as you can. And that takes a long time. But, if you time block daily or weekly to just do that and get your database put together, and then feed it, feed it weekly. And we always say, it's a living, breathing thing. So you have to take care of it. And where I'm going with this is, it takes time, you guys, but if you really treat this like a living, breathing thing that is the lifeblood of your business, it will take a couple years, but it will start to give back to you. And that's what I learned, is that it was painstaking. I had to do it, but after about 2 years, I started getting the referrals and the callbacks, and it started paying me back for the time that I put in. So it doesn't feel great, but that is one of my biggest advice pieces that I would give you, is that you really build that database and you take care of it and you treat it like it is the lifeblood of your business.
Boy, that's huge, Kelly. And those are one of those things as realtors. What makes us good realtors is we like being with people. We like being out and about. We like spontaneity. We like doing different things. We do not like inputting data into a CRM, so
Right.
That's why so many agents are terrible at that. So I guess my tip is, combining on what Kelly said there, is if you need to get help or hire somebody to do that for you and actually do the input stuff, pony up, spend a little bit of money, and get somebody to get that accomplished for you, because that will pay great dividends, like Kelly said. Andrea, what about you?
Hello. Well, similar to Kelly, I'm going to piggyback on that. I have a story, ironically, of clients from Minnesota. So we've always worked by relationship, and we play the long game. It is not like we didn't get into real estate in 2006 to make $1 million right then. It was, we're going to build this business that's going to be our lifeline for the rest of our lives. It wasn't something we were getting in because the market was smoking. So anyway, build long relationships. We had clients who moved here from Minnesota, helped them buy a house, helped them sell a house, helped them buy another house. They bought big and then downsized, and continued to stay in touch, always stayed in touch, had monthly email newsletters, had bi-weekly email letters in the mail that we would send, always sent birthday cards, anniversary cards, called them regularly.
Sorry to interrupt. Josh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep. Go ahead and mute, and then we'll get back to you. Thanks, Arjun.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so stayed in touch constantly, always, called them on a regular basis. And they came to our client parties. Well, then all of a sudden I sent something in the mail and it came back to me. And I was like, what is going on? How did it come back to me? And they had moved to Minnesota. They moved back home, and I didn't sell that house, that happens to all of us, right? You're like, well, what happened? I could have buried my head in a hole and whined and pouted and whatever. But if you've been in this industry 5 minutes, you figure out real fast, you got to be tough. And I called them and said, hey, I saw that you guys moved. Did I do something that upset you? I was so surprised. And they said, oh, Andrea, I can't believe you called us. It was the worst experience of our life. We sold our house. We wanted to sell it fast, and we used the Fast Company. I'm sure every state has the Fast Company. We wanted to sell it fast, and now we want to move back. So I got to help them move back. I did play the long game. They're continuing to be our client, but I think just having that mindset of, my business coach John Cheplack says, be anti-fragile. We have to be anti-fragile. You have to have that thick skin, not take things personally, and play that long game. So having that mindset of the long game is critical in this industry.
That's awesome. And being willing to improve, asking the tough question. What did I do? Why you didn't use me? There's not much worse than the kick in the gut of seeing a past client sell their house and not getting the call,
Right.
But if you've done it long enough, it's happened to you. So that's funny. Yeah. Andy, any good example that you have in this area?
Well, I guess I don't know if it's an example, but since it's a mindset conversation, the biggest difference in my career in what really worked for me is spending the time to really think about and create a mindset of how do I want this business to work for me, not the other way around. I mean, having been in the industry now for coming up on 40 years, I've seen literally hundreds, if not thousands of agents come and leave the business, some all different varying degrees of success. But the biggest change in my career was when I decided to specialize and reverse engineer how I wanted my business actually to run. I decided that I didn't want to work weekends. I decided on an exact amount of money that I wanted to make. I decided on the type of clients that I wanted to work with. And I spent quite a bit of time, really thinking about, visualizing, writing down, and kind of reverse engineering who do I want to work with, who's my ideal client, and thinking about what do they want to, what are their needs, and how am I going to reach out to these people, all those kinds of things. But when I did decide to specialize and I did decide to kind of reverse engineer a mindset of how I wanted my business actually to look, then it gives you a clear direction every day when you come into the office. I've seen so many agents that are reactive to the inspection they got to get that day or whatever they're doing, but they don't show up to work every day with the mindset that this is, when you know exactly where you want to go, it's much easier to get there. So I guess that would be my kind of mindset. It's made a big difference for me.
Boy, that's great. Great wisdom. If we don't know where we want to go, what's the, if you aim at nothing, you'll definitely accomplish it. That's critical, knowing where you want to go. Otherwise, circumstance just dictates. And then usually you end up doing urgent things instead of important things and just putting out fires and not really making progress. So great stuff, Andy. Arjun, why don't you introduce yourself too? And then the question, I think you were listening, but just anytime that you feel like taking either an unconventional approach or the long-term, seeing your business in a long-term standpoint, anything about that. But share with us how long you've been with EXP, where you're from, how many years you've been in the business, anything else, what your business looks like.
Great. Thank you, Josh. Finally, I'm here from the phone. I tried to connect to the laptop. It didn't work. So Arjun Kunwar here from Boston, Massachusetts. In a beautiful spring day out here, in a blue skies, in a bright sun. We're feeling the spring vibe here. I'm in almost 5 years in real estate, 4 years at EXP. And I hit like 2 times Icon. This year to date, I'm the leader in Massachusetts among 1,200 agents. So a little bit of foundation before I got into real estate. I used to be an event planner, organizing events like birthday celebration, wedding reception, anniversary celebration. That's what my background came from. When I jumped in real estate after the pandemic, I joined 2021. Most of my background was in event planning, and then I was already talking to them, people and making deals, and then it was a little bit smoother transition into the real estate. So when I was in the event planning business, my primary focus, was trust. And then when I joined real estate, my focus was also not being an expert in real estate, but trying to gain trust among my buyers or potential buyers. I was totally new, and then I didn't know how to navigate here and there. But with my foundation and the event planning experience, I started growing a little bit of my own niche crowd, and then started serving them. I was more focused the same way I was doing the events, and then ultimately, and it worked out. So I was trying to be more trustable an agent than an expert agent, and then that way, and there was a good word of mouth among the peers and family members and my friends and family. I did close to like 7 million sales, sold close to 15 homes. Homes in Massachusetts are expensive. That was my mindset. It's all the other speakers, and that's so great to hear from them, their life experiences regarding this. So my mindset, while entering the real estate business was a total trust in how I can be a trusted an agent and among other or rather being just an expert like in a top agent. So it's actually working till now. Most of my leads and my clients are coming from my work as a good word of mouth, and that's why I'm trying to stay in long term in a business rather than just like focus on just making a sale and move on. I'm trying to build a trust among all the family members, and that they're all my previous customers are coming back with my leads, with their helping their friends and family. So this trust mindset and has taken me on a longer journey, rather than just making a sale and just move on. Thank you.
It's awesome. Yeah, if you can build up trust with somebody, like you said, and they're willing to refer you out, that's when this business can get much easier as far as, not working cold leads and feeling like you got to win people over and prove that you have their best interest in mind. Somebody tells a friend or a family member, hey, I worked with Arjun and he treated me awesome. I mean, 90% of that work on locking that person down and, the value is already there. So that's massive. Great stuff. Cool.
Thank you.
Let's move to kind of, just talking about consistency. You guys are all icons. You've proven multiple years that you've been able to perform at a high level. And that takes some consistent discipline. So I know, Andy, you touched on this, reverse engineering. So let's start with you, but what are some things you do to structure your life to remain consistent with those goals that you've set? Real estate can invade every aspect of our life. And if we don't turn it off, the phone cannot stop ringing. And it can, you specifically said, I'm not going to do weekends. But yeah, what are some ways you've structured your life to make sure that those goals, you're able to hit them consistently?
Well, shoot, I think honestly, just showing up every day is a good start. We all experienced COVID and had to deal with that experience and live through that time in our life. But I've always just kind of taken that old school value of showing up, going to the office every single day. But as I said, with a mindset that already had been established that, these are the clients that I want to attract, and so by showing up every morning consistently and with a mindset, predetermined that these are the people that I'm going to reach out to, I know who I want to talk to, and I'm just going to do it on a consistent basis. It's allowed me to get to this point in my career where I have much more free time. And again, it's just a huge difference night and day from when I started the business. I was like the typical agent. I would do anything required 7 days a week. I kind of was very reactive to the business without, having a business plan in place. So as I say, I think if you really spend the time doing the planning up front, it just does give you that clear direction that every day you know what you want to do, what works in your business, and then it's just a matter of showing up and execute, and the business becomes much easier.
That's great. Awesome. What about, let's circle back to Kelly. How do you structure your life to make sure that you're hitting your goals that you've set out?
Well, I'm very lucky. I also work with my husband, who kind of runs the back end of our business. So I'm more in front with the sales, and he is a miracle man. I'm going to just say that. So he really helps us stay consistent. He is very much a systems and models guy. So if you do not have systems and models in your business, you don't need 100 of them, but just some basic ones, right? That just keep you on track, and so that you just follow them on a daily basis. We are also very big on time blocking. So, just like Andrew said, we treat this like a job. We get up, we're showing up for our job every day, and we time block for those things, whether it's lead generation, whether it's our posts, recording our videos, all of that stuff. It pretty much works like a science. And then for us, when we get all of that done, then you've got the remainder of your day, right? So if you just stay focused on your calendar time blocking, and you put some systems and models in place that just help keep your day structured, or your processes structured and easier, that's going to be huge.
That's great. What are some systems that you guys use?
Well, I wish Bruce was on this call, because he'd probably I be able to give you more of those answers. But just, let's just say you've set an appointment, right? We have a system in place for what happens next. We send them a pre-appointment presentation, right? Prior to us meeting. Then when we meet, our system is we're collecting certain bits of information and gathering, more for our database and for our files. And then once I get back, I give that information to Bruce, and then he has a whole system of follow-ups, afterwards. So just little things like, do you have a buyer system? Do you have a seller system? Do you have a closing system? Like once you do write a contract, do you have a system in place for what happens next, right? Those are just basic ones. And then obviously the more in-depth you get into your business, you'll have systems for, your social media posts and potentially if you're doing video, all your marketing and your prospecting, you'll have systems for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have been in this business for 22 years, and I'd say the first 17, I had no systems. I was just rise and grind, hustle. I think I'm the best at touching every piece of every transaction. And probably 5 years ago, I finally woke up to that. And boy, has it changed the quality of my life, the organization, the efficiency. And just like I said before, there's skills that I'm good at that make me a good realtor, that make me a terrible assistant, a terrible person, terrible transaction coordinator, and, a terrible person at so many of those skills that are essential to have to make a successful transaction. So having those systems and, even like you said, your lesser half, we'll say, he runs those things. Our personalities are different. You do what you're best at. And, that's huge. So, Andrea, any consistency structure you have in your life that helps you accomplish your goals?
Absolutely. So I think the bookends of our day are so critical. Having the morning routine, I have seen that consistently with other successful people, right? Like success leaves clues. And so I'm hyper structured with my morning routine. And then having boundaries around the phone, because everybody thinks we work 24/7. Some people think we only work weekends. Some people think we only work nights or days or whatever. So I just make that clear, set those clear expectations with clients up front. I do not answer my phone before 8 o'clock in the morning, and it turns off. Do not disturb at 7 p.m. And so there is no actual emergency in real estate. Everybody loves that everything's an emergency. But I'm like, everything will be okay if we wait until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So having those boundaries around that, I think, is critical. Having a day off, for me, I can't run on fumes. I'm no good to anybody if I'm working 7 days every day. So I do take Sundays off. And then time blocking the day, as Kelly was saying, having those things that I'm doing every day. Again, I love, John Cheplak says, hunt in the morning and eat in the afternoon. The way that the morning is structured when I get to the office, it's always the same thing. It's just calling through our database and calling recruits and, different things that we're doing every single day. Having those things time blocked and thinking about, because like you said, Josh, we have all this freedom in real estate, and that's why we get in this industry. But I like to think, well, would you hire you? Like the way that you're behaving all day long, are you someone that you would hire by the way that you're behaving every day? Are you showing up for work every day? So I take that, really seriously. Like this is a profession where people are trusting us with their, most valuable asset. And so showing up for work every day and the way that we show up ready to work, I think is a consistent thing that we've kept always.
It's awesome. Great stuff. Yeah, the big benefits come from the mundane sometimes. And it's, I get attracted by the shiny object syndrome sometimes, and just staying disciplined to the day in, day out is absolutely critical to success. So Arjun, you have anything?
Boring and sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Arjun, go ahead on this. Any consistent structure that you have in your life?
Sure, Josh. So when I started, my focus was open house, open house, open house. When I started, and I used to go, 20 plus open houses. I mean, not most of the time with the clients, just by myself. What that helped me was, one point of time, I knew that okay, this home is fitting for these buyers. I mean, I mean, 90% of my transactions are, and mostly I'm representing buyers. So I used to go to a tons of open houses. That gave me an exposure for, most of the homes in the area. And I knew which home was fitting for my buyers. And then I talked to the buyers, hey, I was at this open house, this house is, fitting for your, choice. Let's go take a look, and then done deal. Most of the new agents, that come, they always wait till the, buyers, send them that, oh, might be our fitting home, and then spending less time with the open houses, that will, drag them. So I, my the like the first success was like in attending a lots of open houses, that I, that way I get to know the area a lot, and then, try to find a fitting home for my buyers. And then at times, I'm putting like in a 6 7 offers in a week, chasing 6 7 offers, talking to, six listing agents, six loan officers, and six buyers, and sometimes it's so draining, you feel sick, and then none of your offer gets accepted. you know so, but the next week, it's going to repeat the, rinse and repeat. It's going to be the same one. So it's a tough thing to, like start again, after, in a 6 offer rejection. But you got to have the guts and, the, same energy, like in the next week, to, rinse and repeat the same. If you can do that for a month or so, then you get so used to it. The first year was like, oh my, it's a tough call. I find it, being a realtor is a tough job. It's a non-stop, it's 24/7 work. But, and after a year or so, and I started getting used to it, and I started and mastering on it. And then, in my second year, I almost hit icon. It's getting, like easy. It's a hustle, but it's a challenge, but it's fun now. Now writing in a many. Sometimes I've, written 20 offers for one client. 20 up to 20 offers for one client. But we still get it done. Not that, it's taking so, maybe change the here, and they're so grateful. They're so grateful. They always come back to me, and then we, talk about it. We laugh about it. That's the journey.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
where it's really going to get to be fun for you, Arjun, is when all those buyers that you wrote 20 offers for come back to you to list their house. So,
correct.
It's, the longer you're in the business, the more listing referrals you have for those past clients if you stay in touch with them and take good care of them. So that's great. Cool. Well, we're touching on mindset, and one thing, just like you said, Andrea touched on the client that listed their house, the past client, you helped them buy it, and they sold and didn't call you. And Arjun just touched on writing 20 offers for somebody. Well, guess what? A lot of people after 18 offers or 7 offers give up on a client. I mean, or they give up on the business, and they say, my gosh, I've written so many offers and I haven't gotten a deal together. I've had team members on my team come to me and I say, hey, this is the market right now. It's competitive. And I warned you up front, have some money in the piggy bank and make sure you're ready to get your teeth kicked in a little bit. You can do all the right things in this business, and sometimes you still don't win. And that's just part of it. So it's easy to start getting down. It's easy to start, in our minds, you always hear that, I have 6 kids. And so the whole adage of somebody saying something negative to one another, that it takes 10 positive things to offset one negative thing that you hear. And obviously children love to say negative things to each other, but we often will allow negative thoughts to escalate in our minds, and they're easier to believe than positive thoughts. I tell my kids, hey, I have one son that's a phenomenal athlete, but has very little confidence. And I have another son who's become a better athlete, but when he wasn't a good athlete, he had all the confidence in the world. My wife would always say, man, if we could take the confidence of number 3 and put it in number 2, that kid could do anything on the basketball court. But I would always tell my number 2 son that lacked confidence, Toby, you got to talk to yourself. You got to stop listening to the voices in your head and start talking to yourself, creating your own voices and speaking to yourself. So when you're down in the dumps, because that will inevitably happen here, this was a long setup for the question. How do you talk to yourself? What are some inner dialogues that you have with yourself on a regular basis that keep you motivated and pick you up when you're getting kicked in the teeth a little bit? Let's go back to Kelly. Let's start with Kelly on this.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I have those moments where I come home and I'm like, I hate people, right? So, and that sounds bad, but you almost have to give yourself some grace too, of just being able to vent a little bit, get through it. But, I find my motivation leaning into my past success, right? When I'm starting to get down, or like, let's say it's been slow for a little bit and you're like, okay, what's going to happen? I just tap into the fact, just keep doing what you've always done. You've got this, you're great at what you do. So, it's going to happen, right? And you've just got to, focus on the success. And I'm also a believer in affirmations, right? I mean, you can get up in the morning and every day just start out, look at yourself in the mirror and say a couple positive affirmations just to get your mindset right. You get in the right groove for the day. And, but yeah, it's not, if every one of us told you it was all, sunshine and roses, we're full of it. So you've just, like you said, you've got to find a way to just vent a little, get on with it, and give yourself that positive reinforcement of you've got this.
Yeah, it's great. Andy, any wisdom in this area?
Well, I think I agree with exactly what Kelly said, that, you got to be able to forgive yourself sometimes too. That's a hard thing to do when people beat you up, or the inevitable client that lists with somebody else. That has happened to all of us, I think, that have been in the business for a while, is not to blame yourself. It's just people, right? And the other thing that I found over the years, with all the successes that I have had, when nobody wins them all. And so if you take that attitude, you've had way more successes that you can rely on. But, it's those defeats, like you say, that tend to stick in your mind. And I guess, probably the most important thing that I would say to any agent is real estate can be, and I've heard it on this call, can become a 724 way you spend your life. But you have to ask yourself, is that the balanced life that I really want to live? And again, what had made the biggest change for me is reverse engineering my whole life. Real estate is my career. I love it. But again, it's not my whole life. I have a great family. I have lots of hobbies. I have lots of pursuits, things that I want to do. And I don't let real estate consume my 724 mentality. I do take breaks. I do value spending time with my family and friends, and those are more of a priority. And when you really set your expectations of how you want your life to really look, real estate can fit in there nicely. It's the most wonderful vehicle to create income and wealth that I've ever found. But that mindset that I keep coming back to, of reverse engineering your whole life and determining exactly how you want your career and real estate to fit in without having it consume your every waking moment.
Andy, that's so huge, because I've had so much that you can forget how good of a business this is and what kind of lifestyle you can provide for yourself when you get down or allow yourself to get irritated about your phone ringing at 9:30 at night. And obviously, if you ring it or you say, man, I can't believe they expect me to answer my phone at this time, you can start talking that way. Let's dive just a little bit deeper, because if you, I don't want to say you've mastered it, but if you've mastered it or you've had some success in setting your life up to say, hey, I don't want to work weekends. And, and there's seasons of life, obviously, too. As you get further in your business, you're able to have more options. But what are either some lines not necessarily lines you drew, you touched on that a little bit, but how have you been able to do that? Is it setting client expectations? Is it having assistants? Is it what kind of, how have you been able, now you're working more multifamily, so maybe that's a little bit more of it, not doing as much residential, but just give us a little insight into how that looks and how you got there.
Well, I mean, again, making that decision to change from residential real estate to really put my focus on multifamily. is, one of the big advantages, it's still a relationship business. You still have to get, your clients to like and trust you before they're ever going to do business, whether it's residential or commercial or any other form of real estate. But, one thing that, again, in this reverse engineering, I mean, a lot of times in residential, I mean, people move, I forget the national average anymore, but, you sell them a house, they may be selling there for a while. And even if they refer you your friends with, with investors, most of my investors who I've established relationships with and done deals, they're always in the market. They always want to know what's my next listing coming up, and so I have created a database, and it's not a huge database. I mean, I have probably 50 different clients that I do all my business with, and if one guy is not liquid, I go to number 2 on the list. But they're always in the market, and also, the expectation in commercial is, hey, I'll work for you, as hard as I possibly can, but it's during the week. There's kind of an understood, unless it's an emergency, when the phone hangs up on Friday evening, don't call me over the weekend. It's going to be okay. These are people that have done usually multiple transactions, so they're not quite as emotional, that we'll get the job done come Monday morning. And by, those boundaries have kind of already been established. But yeah, I mean, for me, again, it was like, I want to work with a certain number of clients. I want to earn their respect, their trust, but then, then they're pretty loyal to you. And again, my business comes from a relatively small group of people that I've done, multiple deals with. And that works for me. It works for them.
That's great. And that's a unique situation to the person that's grinding in residential real estate, but you can still set some of those expectations. So I would, the principle of what Andy's talking about and saying, hey, what do I want my life to look like? And reverse engineering that. Just like I think Kelly just said, or Andrea just said, I'm not going to answer my phone before 8 a.m. I do the same thing. I don't return text messages. And if somebody texts me early on in the transaction and I don't reply until 8:05, I'll always tell them, hey, sorry for the delay. Thanks for your patience. I always say thanks for your patience instead of sorry for the delay. Thanks for your patience. I don't check my phone until 8 a.m., or I stay out of business before 8 a.m. is family time, and everybody respects that. So, Arjun, you got any disciplines, consistent things that help you structure your life so you don't become overwhelmed? And if you're overwhelmed, just fake it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, totally, totally. So, and yeah, this is very important. Like, talking to yourself, with a challenging job like a realtor, it's very important. Earlier I mentioned that, sometimes I have 20 offers rejection. How do you come out of that? But at times, my clients have won an offer among 41 other offers. That's probably in my history, career, all real estate career, that a client has won an offer among 41 offers. So when things get down, for motivation, I always look up to my other records. That keeps my head up, and then I can walk again. The other thing, most of the time, sometimes when your client's offer is not the highest, but you got the best offer, and then we were the second or the third, but we landed with the offer. That's another one that, okay, even if my clients was not the highest offer, we still win an offer. That gives you another compliment. When things doesn't work your way. So I find it when I'm down, or it's like talking to myself. It's like, hey, how can I motivate myself every single day to do a better for my clients. Those are the things that let's remember myself, like, what, I've done it before. I think yes, Josh.
Okay. Breaking up just a little bit. Ladies, did I miss one of you guys on that question, or did I get you both?
Me, Andrea.
Andrea, I thought I did. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Give us some feedback on that.
I love the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And I think it's just so good about programming your mind, because we can so easily slip into, oh, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I said that. And I do too, just like Kelly said, like, dude, some of the things that I say to myself are ridiculous. So just being careful with the words that we say about ourselves. Real estate is a personal development course. Like it will take you through the ringer. So, and sometimes I just want to have a pity party for myself. Like, I can't believe that happened, whatever. Let the pity party happen, but just put a deadline on it. Like, it's okay to have a moment. And just have a time limit on it, like whatever, 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes. Sometimes it's until tomorrow morning. But having that. And I also love practicing conversations in the car. Like, people think I'm talking on the phone, but no, I'm just talking to myself. Having those practice conversations, like with clients, we are, you get one shot at your conversations with your clients. So practicing that in advance of, what am I going to say if they give me this objection? What will I say to that? And another book of Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones. That one's really good for real estate agents. I think it's a real estate agent specific one, but Exactly What to Say is the name of it. So having that, like, it is a system and a process, how we are letting our mind handle the job. Because it's emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, totally. That's great. I wrote both those books down. That's good. I had a buddy that used to always say in another business, you can quit every day, but just quit for 5 minutes. Quit for 5 minutes and then get back on the horse, So you can't wallow in that. So that's great. Cool. Let's finish up. We have just about 5 minutes. So let's keep it to 1 minute each. As far as what would you give people one recommendation to either unlock some things mentally, or, just what you could tell if they want to have their best year ever, set themselves up for success? What's the one tip you give people? Let's go backwards and start with Arjun. Let's keep it to a minute.
Sure. Thank you, Josh. My goal for the week, every single a week I start, is how I can at least strike one deal in a week. That way I'm in touch with the listing side, I'm in touch with the buyers, I'm in touch with the market. I get to know how overall everything is going. Sometimes you feel like lazy, you want to take it easy, the weather is bad, this and that. I don't want to get an excuse for myself and then drawback. How can I at least make one offer, or strike like one deal that will make me alert in my further weeks. That way I can be and try to in business, just trying to motivate myself, and then staying positive, staying trustable, and staying transparent, and then it will get you through. Thank you.
Awesome. Andy, one tip.
One tip that worked best for me is to figure out a specialization and become an expert in it. I did it in multifamily and commercial. I don't do leasing. I don't do office space. I do apartments. And my goal when I started was to become the go-to expert in multifamily in my marketplace. But you can do that in residential too. You could be an oceanfront person. You could be a condo person. You could be whatever you want to be. But if you specialize and become an expert, learn everything about it, whether it be your listing or somebody else's, people recognize that, and they know that if they have a need, why wouldn't they call you? And that has made the biggest difference to me, is I'm not out chasing deals anymore. I've earned the right because I did become the expert in my marketplace, but it was by design. And if you specialize, you can do the same thing in residential as well.
That's great. Andrea.
Yeah, I would say consistent lead generation, being in front of your database all the time, talking to them, and having a CRM that tracks that, because it's really easy to think that we're making a lot more connections than we are. I personally use Follow Up Boss, and there's no hiding with that because it's tracking every call. So having that consistent lead generation every single day, making sure you're doing that, I think is critical.
Yeah, that's great. Perfect. And Kelly, what about you? One tip for people?
Well, I'm going to give you a twofold, but quickly. I do this every year. It doesn't matter if we're in a shifting market or not, but I always look at my business and we really run lean. There's a ton of shiny objects out there. And, over the course of a year, you can sign up for this and sign up for that. So always do a review, whether it's quarterly or annually, and just cut down and run very lean. And then the second side of that is whatever you do well, whatever brings you the most amount of business, double down on that. So like mine is my database. I'm about an 80% referral type agent. I double down on that. So again, don't get caught up in the shiny objects, run lean and double down on what works.
That's awesome. I'll give you my tip, and it actually, Kelly, you hit on part of it, is doubling down on what works. So unscrewing the law of the lid. When I started this business, my first full year, and this was 20 years ago, I made $107,000. My first 6 months, I made $3,800. So I thought we were going to starve. And then the next full year I had, I broke six figures. And I remember thinking, $100,000, what am I going to do with all this money? And that was before I had as many kids as I have now, of course. But I consistently made between 100 and 125,000 for the next 10 years. And all of a sudden I realized that I was experiencing the law of the lid. I had screwed a lid on my head of thinking 100 grand is a ton of money. And it is. And I'm thankful for it. But all of a sudden I said, boy, what I'm doing, if I just did a little bit, if I did more of what works, what could I do to double this or triple it, or, you know what I mean? So just trying to look at that from a mindset standpoint, unscrewing the law of the lid on, that has to do with some leadership principles, but sometimes we can put a lid on our own limiting belief. And so just evaluating that and being aware of it. So, hey, thanks for attending today. I think these icons, great job. Thank you guys so much being open and sharing what's worked for you. Congratulations on all your successes. I'm stoked to do this again and see you guys in the future. And appreciate each of you guys that attended today. Have an awesome Friday. Great weekend.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Have a great day, all.
I want to thank everybody for being here today. You all were just really, truly amazing. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're here every Friday. Smash that like button. For everyone here in EXP World, if you are watching this in the auditorium and you are in an active Icon benefit year, you get a couple of points just for being here. So that's kind of amazing.